Every momentum name the scanner caught tonight is stretched, so careful chasing, but we do have some awesome names to watch for potential dip buys. Let's get into it. What's up everyone, Tolly here. Welcome to Tolly Invest. Tonight, the scanner ran through over 2,000 tickers and came back with more than 1,300 long setups and over 500 short setups. That's a lot, so I will walk you through the top picks to keep on your radar for this week. As always, nothing here is financial advice. Do your own research and manage risk according to your own individual risk profile. Macro is risk on right now, which sets a constructive backdrop for continuation and momentum names. At the stock level, the fear and greed picture is interesting. Fear names are actually outnumbering greed names by a solid margin, so the broader market sentiment is more balanced than the macro score alone suggests. One macro note worth flagging, the 2-year versus 3-month yield curve spread is upward sloping, and that's the bond market telling us two things. The Fed is probably done cutting rates and may even raise rates in the short or medium term, and that the risk of recession is reduced. All right, let's kick things off with the episodic pivots. These are names where a big catalyst gap already fired, and now we are watching the drift to see if the tickers hold up before a potential leg higher. First on the EP radar is NEOV. This one sparked hard, up roughly 24% on nearly 24 times normal volume after Needham launched coverage with a buy rating. That is a monster EP tier event, the kind of institutional catalyst that can produce a real secondary leg. Here is the catch though, this is fresh, the range has not tightened yet, and the drift is just getting started. This goes on the watch list, not the order entry screen. The setup needs more drift days to prove itself before the scanner would consider it actionable. Next up is RGNX Bio. The stock gapped up around 16% on over 5 times normal volume. The FDA reversed its prior rejection of its gene therapy for Hunter syndrome, agreeing the existing data now supports an accelerated approval review with no new studies required. This one is also extremely fresh, day 0, no drift at all yet, and volume is not declining. What to watch for is range compression over the next several sessions with volume drying up on those drift days. If that pattern develops, it becomes worth a closer look. Last EP for the night is RF Industries. This one jumped about 21% on nearly 4 times normal volume, though the catalyst data is not fully clear on what drove it. Same story here, it just happened, no drift days have accumulated, and the setup is not clean yet. Keep it on the watch list and let it prove itself. A few tight sessions with fading volume would be the signal the scanner wants to see. It's a microcap with a tiny float of just over 8 million shares, so this one can move quickly. Now for the main momentum picks. These are names where my custom scanner has both daily and weekly aligned bullish with strong trend confirmation. A quick note before we go through them, every single pick this week is extended from its weekly average. The trend strength is real, but the framing here is not about chasing, it is about understanding where these names are in their moves. Intel is the first name up. Both time frames are aligned bullish. ADX is elevated and rising, signaling a strong trend in development. The stock's own sentiment is deep in extreme greed. The problem is the price is stretched well above the weekly 9 EMA. This is not a setup for new entries up here. The scanner's framing on this one is that anyone already holding it would be thinking about trailing stops and protecting gains, not adding size. If a pullback develops toward the rising weekly 9 EMA, that would be the level to revisit this name. Vishay Intertechnology is in a similar situation. Daily and weekly aligned bullish, ADX strong and rising, sitting deep in extreme greed. But this one is even further extended from its weekly average than Intel. Chasing this here is the mistake the scanner is explicitly flagging. The trend is powerful, but the price has moved too far from the mean for a clean risk-reward entry at the moment. A dip would be an opportunity. AMKR technology is another fresh signal in this scan, both time frames aligned bullish with rising ADX confirming trend strength. Sentiment on this name is in greed, not yet at the extreme greed level of some others on this list, but the price is still stretched from the weekly average. Same defensive framing applies. The scanner suggests this is a name to stalk on a pullback toward the weekly 9 EMA rather than pursuing it up here. United Microelectronics is flagging with one of the stronger ADX readings in this entire scan, and both time frames are fully aligned bullish. The stock's own sentiment is deep in extreme greed. And again, the price is significantly extended from the weekly mean. The trend is undeniably strong, worth watching patiently for the weekly average to catch up to price before jumping on. ALAB rounds out the momentum section, and this one is the most extended of the group relative to its weekly average. Both time frames aligned bullish. ADX rising, sentiment deep in extreme greed. The trend is real, but the stock is stretched far above the mean. Protect gains if you are already in it, and let the setup come to you if you are not. These next names are in solid weekly uptrends but have cooled off on the daily. These are not shorts, these are names to watch for pullback entries while the weekly trend stays intact. Marvell Technology has the weekly trend firmly intact, and sentiment on the weekly is still hot. The daily has cooled off noticeably, and the price is holding near the daily 9 EMA with volume drying up on the pullback. That is a healthy combination. The scanner is watching for this cooling to complete and buyers to step back in with volume. SHLS Technologies shows a similar setup. The weekly 9 EMA is intact. The daily sentiment has pulled back a meaningful amount below the weekly read, and volume is fading on the dip, which tells you sellers are not in control. Price is holding near the daily 9 EMA. If that level holds, the setup looks like a textbook buy the dip structure within a broader uptrend. Johnson Controls has the largest daily cooling gap of the 3 dip watch names this week. Weekly trend is intact and the weekly 9 EMA is holding comfortably. Price is near the daily 9 EMA with volume declining on the pullback. The scanner sees this as the deeper version of the same pattern, worth watching for a stabilization and volume confirmation before calling the dip done. These next two are patience plays, names showing early signs of seller exhaustion after extended bear streaks. Not calling bottoms here, just flagging the early signals worth stalking. FUTU Holdings has been under selling pressure for 7 consecutive weekly bars, which is the kind of streak where seller exhaustion starts to become a real possibility. The stock has reclaimed the daily 9 EMA, which is the first structural sign that buyers may be stepping in, and volume is drying up. The stock's own sentiment is in fear, which adds to the washed out picture. The scanner sees this as early innings of a potential reversal, not a confirmed one, watching for continuation above the 9 EMA with improving volume. New Holdings is showing the same pattern, 7-week bear streak, price back above the daily 9 EMA, and volume declining. The weekly read is flagging a pre-buy signal, which means the weekly is not yet confirmed bullish, but is setting up for it. Sentiment on this name is also in fear. Same framing as FUTU, these are setups to stalk, not sprint into. Confirmation is key. These following few tickers are the bearish setups the scanner is picking up tonight, worth an add on your watch lists. Royalty Pharma is flagged with a distribution signal near its 52-week highs. The stock is sitting in greed territory with a fresh weekly bearish GAN signal, and the scanner is picking up signs that institutional hands may be quietly passing inventory to weaker hands. Short interest is low, so this is not a crowded short. For anyone holding this name long, the scanner suggests this is where you think about tightening trailing stops and trimming size, not adding. Smart money does not wave a flag when they exit. Williams-Sonoma is flagging the same distribution pattern near its 52-week highs, also sitting in greed with short interest that is slightly elevated compared to Royalty Pharma but still modest. The scanner is not calling this a breakdown. It is flagging the behavior of a name where the distribution phase may be underway. Same message for longs. This is a risk management conversation, locking in gains and tightening up rather than pressing the position. All right, that wraps it up for tonight. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you spending some time here with me. As always, nothing in this video is financial advice. Please do your own research and trade according to your own individual risk tolerance. Drop your favorite tickers in the comments below. I would love to see what you are watching. If you found this useful, hit that like button and subscribe so you do not miss the next one. Take care of yourselves out there, and I will catch you in the next one.